Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at some Kucoin gems. Now these gems, all of them are gems which I have already discovered, already in, and probably will be topping up at some point soon. Now I made a video about an hour ago about how altcoins may already be at their super support, their mega support, right? And all of this depends on whether or not Bitcoin breaks out or goes sideways, or especially if it breaks down. Then because Bitcoin is at a resistance, essentially at a resistance right now, it does make it feel like it wants to at least sort of not break down but test lower, and with that will bring altcoins below their, well, most of them below their major supports, right? But because they are all at, not all, but most of them are at these super supports, it does make it relatively tempting to think about buying them, and I don't mean going all in on them. I just mean, thinking about the game of support resistance. Buy when the market is fearful. Do you know what I mean? Sell when the market is greedy. It's standard stuff, right? You buy at support, sell at resistance. That's standard stuff, right? And I know it feels a little uncomfortable at the moment, because Bitcoin's down, everyone's talking about bear markets. But I mean, if it is just a game of support and resistance, and again, we spoke about this relatively in depth on the stream last night for the Patreon members, but in a nutshell, like, trading an altcoin isn't as simple as just looking at that chart. You have to look at that chart, then you have to look at the Bitcoin chart to see how that's going to determine the market's move, because Bitcoin, whether you like it or not, does govern the overall market's health. And then you can't even just look at Bitcoin anymore. You have to then look at things like the dollar index, the Dixie, and maybe traditional markets as well, or both of them combined. And then outside of that, you go, okay, well, what's moving these markets? And then you find out that you've got tapering taking place. You've got the Megatron virus and things like that. Oh my God, this is a bloody minefield. All I want to do is trade an altcoin, and now I have to go back into all these and dig deeper into all these other areas, charts and news events, that govern financial markets. And you're like, well, it's not as simple as support and resistance, is it? There's a lot going on here, isn't there? And yeah, that's the point. There really is. At the moment, the market is really not a very easy trading environment. It's just not. It's one of the hardest trading environments that I can remember for a while, actually, for years in fact. So it's not as simple as support and resistance. However, if we stand back and try and think about it as simple as possible, and we look at some altcoins and go, right, okay, let's just think about staggering some buys. Let's just think about what we're looking at, and obviously there are things that we can't foresee, but there are certain things that we can. So I made a video, like I say, about an hour ago, suggesting that potentially the Bitcoin low is in, but maybe not the altcoin low. But if the Bitcoin low is in and Bitcoin kind of goes sideways above this area of 49,000 and can accumulate between 49 and about 54, then actually the lows for altcoins are almost likely as well, right? And so that is one scenario that we have to consider. And it's worth considering because, like I say, if you do consider that, and it's worth putting a bit of money into some of these coins, then fair play to you. Now we're going to talk about Kucoin gems, excluding one which is a Gate.io gem, but it doesn't have the same kind of ring to it. But all of these are on Kucoin. Some of them are on other exchanges, but Kucoin being seems to be the more predominant for these sort of coins. And the reason things are Kucoin gems is because they move up massively and they also move down massively, right? It's a liquidity issue, if anything else, right? It's mostly a liquidity and market cap, low market caps, right? So to see some of these coins when they do like 2,000% or whatever in a couple of weeks, it's because they have low market cap and because they have low volume at the start. Volume trickles in and then floods in, and before you know it, you're at the moon, way earlier than you expected it. But with all of that comes enormous risk, because low liquidity, when people start taking their money out, guess what? Things fall down the stairs. So again, these are all coins that I'm in. There's one which I've not spoken about, which is this one. We're going to talk about that last. But all of these I'm already in, and this is one of the last little things I bought. I'm always a little hesitant to talk about the things that I've bought or buy when I buy them, just because I don't want people, copying my trades. Not because I don't I don't enter these trades because I think that they're going to work out, but sometimes they don't, and I hate the idea of people being wrecked. But let's have a look at some of these ones. So we'll start with VRA. Okay, so VRA hit this multi-support level here. Not the neatest of patterns, but there's still a great looking chart. It looks to me like it's relatively oversold, and with that, should likely turn around from that 3-cent zone. Now, because we're below all major moving averages, there's no sort of there's no uptrend here or anything like that. We're talking about adding to a position that I already have at a low level, and if it does come down to the 3-cent zone, well, it's an opportunity worth taking on. So I'm thinking about picking up some more VRA if we can just make it down to those levels. Now, when it comes to buy orders, because 3-cent is a nice round figure, you'll see this all the time, especially with these low cap coins like this. This isn't quite so low cap anymore, but it used to be when we first bought in down around here. To be honest with you, it wasn't trading at this enormous volume, and it's traded a lot higher than this in the past. But when you come to trading these sort of things, you'll often see round numbers seem to have a lot more relevance than anything else. Well, round numbers often have relevance because people are very simple, right? I'm not saying that to slag anybody off. I'm a person too, and we've inherited this very simple way of counting, in tens, whereas everybody knows, well, we probably don't, but the most efficient way of counting is actually 12s. But we don't have 12 fingers, and this is why we count in tens. And we like tens, we like round numbers, and we also like the 3-cent zone, right? You'll see this be a reoccurring theme across many of these charts. 3-cent, so I'd look to front run that ever so slightly to 3.1 cent. Get my buy order in, all right? I'm not waiting for the last. I don't want to be the sitting at the back of the order book. I want to get my front run in, so I have a little buy there. If this breaks down though, it will end up being the shitcoin that it was before, but for the moment seems like it's oversold already, and it's getting some decent bids around that level. Looking to front run that a little bit and then carry on with this moon mission basically. Now this, because it's already done so much already, in the long term it could work out pretty well. It's not particularly overextended on anything, and we always look to things on the weekly to see how high the money flow index is, and at the moment it's fine. It wants to continue up, I would say, on the relatively long term. Bearish divergence on the weekly, that's no big deal. That's no big deal for something like this, but there is always risk when it comes to these shitcoins. But like I say, plenty of opportunity in Kucoin gems, right? But all Kucoin gems, they start off in life absolute piles of crap, right? So, but it doesn't, people aren't interested in buying Kucoin piles of crap. You want to buy Kucoin gems, but you won't get a gem unless you buy essentially the lows. It won't be a gem to you. It'll just be you will just be adding to the pool of liquidity ready to be taken out. So bear all that in mind, right? The idea is you buy the crap and sell the gem, all right? You polish that turd until it shines. You hand it over to somebody else for some real money, all right? That's the idea. So at the moment, this is not looking particularly strong, but my expectation is that it's relatively consistent with this savage uptrend, and it will continue to go up over time. Again, the market dictated by Bitcoin is going to tell us whether it breaks this support. If this support breaks, then it'll be a horrible time, to be honest with you. We'll be coming down probably another cent or lower, down to maybe about 1.7 cent. Next thing on the list, OMI or OMI or whatever people want to call it. Now, this one's slightly different. This one's still trying to recover from its all-time high. This is a massive move and a tremendous breakdown. And since then, it actually started to look okay. It still looks okay at the moment, being above the 200 exponential. We see that there's a massive support level around these wick lows here. So we've got supports around here. We've also got these tops over here. So big top there, broke out and retested. So this is one of those coins which is dancing around its very, very significant support trend line here. This one is much lower volume than most of the others, and in fact only trades on Gate.io. If you want to get a discount on your trading on these exchanges, by the way, and you don't have Gate.io or any of these exchanges, Kucoin that I trade in, even Binance, there's links in the below, and I am actually affiliated with these people now because I'm an influencer. They give me these codes, which basically allows you to get trading fees back yourself. So it's like a kickback. So you trade, and they give you your trading fee back to, I think, 20% on each of these things. So it is 20% on all of them actually. So click on those links if you've not got these accounts already, and you'll get kickbacks on your trading fees for life. So this is the deal. If we can remain above here, then we will inevitably turn up from here and hopefully break out from this level up here. This is all the way up at 0.7, 0.8 cents. And this is where we wanted to build the base before, and this is where we would like to see the base get built. And again, because one of the beauties of this coin here is that it's not actually at this current moment in time traded on many exchanges. So this move here was when it became listed on Gate.io. So it had a massive reaction just on being listed on Gate.io. So you could imagine the size of a candle body or a wick or whatever if it were to be listed on even something like Kucoin or especially Binance. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything in the pipeline to suggest that it is going to get listed on those, but this isn't a nothing coin. This is attributed to big NFTs, big NFTs, not those silly little money laundering pixel things. This is like real stuff, with Marvel and all that lot. They're all attributed to the OMI token in some. Well, it's basically the token that runs in the background of that platform that sells those NFTs. So real stuff. So it's not a nothing, it's not a scam, it is something, and it's still very much in its infancy. AI, right? This is one of those ones that nobody never really talks about. It's all me. In fact, it's not spoken about to the extent that the chart isn't even loading right now. So maybe we'll have to revisit that another time. Come on, or maybe it's just my hyper trader having a bit of a moment. Okay, so here we go. Right, so I bought into this around 2 cents, and then it broke down below there, and then as soon as I could re-establish the fact that it was broken out of, it broke down below its major level of support, which was between 2.2 and 2 cents, right? Broke down below there, I did get a little bit scared, broke out of this major consolidation into an accumulation, so I bought more, and it worked out to a treat. Missed the sell order, unfortunately, which was up here, being a little bit too optimistic. But now we came back down to the major level of support. So we've been down here again before. We've seen how strong it is. Pretty much handled its time down here for the vast majority of its trading life. Really, it did break down a little bit, but it wasn't long. Now there is a super support below all there, which is where we did turn around from. But generally, the main area of support is between 2 and 2.2 cents. So if this can hold on to this level, which it might do for a prolonged period of time, then this would also be another area to, I suppose, put more in. Again, this is a Kucoin gem, but for the moment, we should refer to it, like all of these things we're talking about, as a Kucoin turd, right? Because you buy it when it is a turd and you sell it when it's a gem. Okay, so no one makes all the money when they buy up here, do they? Or buy the FOMO. No one makes the money there. You buy at the absolute lows, or as low as you have the stomach for, and wait for it to turn around, and that's where you do the multiples of X's, right? The crypto dream, isn't it? The Kucoin gems. So this one looks like having a decent reaction from here. However, a retest of here should be a buy between 2.2, I suppose it's 2.3, 2.2 and basically 2 cent flat. Again, round numbers again. That 2 cent, people love it. Absolutely love the round numbers. BEPRO, now this really is a shitcoin, right? And we were looking to mimic some of these kind of moves. We bought in as we established that the uptrend had begun, and we were getting quite excited. I was telling people not to buy in, and as it was going down, because being the shitcoin that it is, can go a lot lower. I can show that to you when you put it on the log scale. You can see how deceptive it was when it's not on the log scale. If we did break down from these levels that we were getting excited about. This looks like, oh, okay, so what's from the top to the bottom? How much did this consolidate? Just a 95%. So most people, they go, oh, it's 95% down, it can't go much further down. Well, it could actually. If we broke down from just that bottom wick, we're just going to be generous and measure the wick to where I would imagine the next support would be. That's another 60% down. You can always get more wrecked, especially on shit coins like this. However, we're going to entertain the idea that this is obviously a shitcoin, but is also respecting the support. Support held here, support from the mega wick, retested it again. It's almost certainly going to retest that 6 cent zone again. Now, because this one's such a dangerous, deadly pile of crap, basically, I would feel more comfortable waiting for this to bounce and re-establish itself on some of these other levels before entertaining the idea of topping up on this one. The only place I would look at maybe having a small buy order in is down here at about 0.4 of a cent. Again, round numbers, people absolutely love it, especially the shitter the coin, the more round the number, definitely. And that might be an area of interest, because, well, the last time we came down to these levels, yeah, we did break down further, but the reaction thereafter was pretty good. Even if we were to come back up to the top of the range, we're talking about 270% just towards the top of the range, really, where this is a mega resistance up here. Now, if we did break out from there and go to the moon, and it would be really, really interesting to see that. And to be honest with you, I reckon that there is a good chance that that would happen over time, because people seem to tell me that something about BEPRO is going to change the world, but the only world it's changing at the moment is changing people from moving out of their nice warm homes into cardboard boxes on the street. That's basically the life-changing event it's had on people recently. But if it did move all the way up to roughly the top, that's a 10x, okay, and we'll see what happens from there. That's from this level down here, not this current support. So we'll wait and see how this one plays. At the moment, we do have an incoming death cross, and on a shitcoin like this, it's not a place to entertain buys. And again, if it moons, no big deal. It does it. It's about balancing the risk to reward. Uno, right, so this one, again, not a very old coin, but we saw a massive pump and a massive dump, and then we bought in on this one as we came down to an oversold territory with the rest of the market. This one did really well, like really, really, really well. So I bought into this one about, I think it was about 2.4, but I'll just measure it from there. So from there, it did a 3x. You can't go wrong with that until you don't sell it, and then you basically end up getting absolutely trashed. Now we're down at here. You can see what this is. This is breakdown. This is resistances. This is also massive breakout zone. We're down at that level at the moment, but again, below all major moving averages. It's a scary place to be. We are turning up on the MACD here. We are relatively oversold on RSI and money flow index. So with all of that said, this is a prime example of how we should be, I suppose, optimistic, but without, but also very cautious. You shouldn't all go in all in just because you're at support. Like I said at the beginning of this video, supports can be deceiving. When Bitcoin's at a resistance and altcoins are at support, if Bitcoin does retest some of these lows or even break down, altcoins get completely demolished, and I mean absolutely demolished. But if we're playing a game of support and resistance, we could look at this and go, okay, we're at the support. Maybe a little buy in here wouldn't be the worst thing I've ever done in my whole life. It's just an educated guess that the low is in for this one, but generally speaking, it doesn't look particularly good, and it's a young coin. And I always say this on the streams: when you're trading coins that don't have a great deal of chart history, the only thing you've got going for you is horizontal trend lines. Moving averages don't mean a great deal. They're not meaningless, but they don't mean much. This little white smudge here, that's a 200 exponential. It only came into existence in the last day or two. So with this comes great opportunity, but also with great risk. But it is at support, again, with many, many others. And this one is the most recent addition to my shitcoin collection, right? So I was put onto this by one of my Patreon members. Again, it's always good to be part of a community, because, multiple heads are better than one, I suppose. There's all sorts of things that get put on my radar through that Telegram channel, and the Patreon especially. And this is one of them. And if we're looking at this now, it's a massive, massive, massive descending triangle, which again isn't the most bullish of formations, but it's just showing the size of the consolidation that's happened since it came onto Kucoin, right? Massive level of support down here, to which we're testing at the moment. So if you wanted to play a formation like this, you would play a breakout. You wouldn't really want to play the support. But as we've got this, we could think about what the market's doing, and we could be hopeful about Bitcoin, then this might be one area where you could potentially think about staggering a buy-in. Again, it's a support, so put a little bit in. You stagger buy. Think about things like a grid bot, right? So your first grid, okay, we'll buy a bit here. If it doesn't work out, no problem. I'll buy a little bit more down here. We'll see how it goes, blah, blah, blah. You don't go all in at support and hope for the best. And so the best case scenario is that this breaks out at some point. You do a crude measured move, and again, we see this all the time with YouTubers and stuff, but it is relevant. If we were to break out, let's just say we broke out, somewhere towards the halfway from now, so mid-January, which looks relatively likely from what I understand of what I can see of the overall market. The market looks like January could be a turnaround month. Let's just say we broke out. This would be a measured move, and it measures all the way up to, obviously, towards the previous high. And if that is the case, and we bought this low here and we moved all the way up to our previous high, it's a 300% move. So we are looking at some potential Kucoin gems. I know people sniff at the idea of a 300% what? I've seen coins do yeah, but that takes a long time. You don't normally get hundreds of X's, you know, within a few months. Which is what we're kind of entertaining the prospect that that might happen with some of these. Of course, you could have bought Matic when it was 1 cent, and for the record, I did. You could have bought ADA when it was 1 cent, and you know, yeah, I suppose I did, but I actually sold at about 14 cents. But I'm not going to lie to you. I sold at 14 cents, but you could have bought all those things, but you would have had to have waited, you know, 12 months, 24 months, or even longer, depends on when you bought them, for those to have realized those hundreds of X's. All we're talking about here is risk to reward on Kucoin gems today, and these are the 1, 2, 3, 4, that's Gate.io, 5, we got 6 tokens altogether. But again, I'm already in these anyway, and I am looking to potentially top them up depending on how the market reveals itself next week, and that's about it really. So I'll leave it with you there. There's opportunity here, there's also great risk. I wouldn't put in more than you can afford to lose on anything on Kucoin, because we all know why these things moon so hard and why they crash so hard. It's a liquidity problem, which is why Binance is still my preferred trading platform. But there are opportunities on these smaller ones. Gate.io is quite good, but Kucoin seems to be the better one, because we're talking about things through the lens of liquidity, and Kucoin is better than Gate.io when it comes to liquidity, but there are some other things on Gate.io that you can't get on Kucoin. So it's up to you. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Again, yeah, I'm not suggesting you buy any of these things. I'm already in them. All I'm thinking about is potentially topping them up, but I need to see a bit more activity in the market overall in the next, well, coming through to next week, and I also need to pay attention to what's going on in the outside world, because believe it or not, you know, Kucoin gems are going to react to the overall big daddy financial markets like the Nasdaq and the dollar. Right, I'll leave it with you there. I've rambled on long enough, but I hope you have a good day. If you want to set up those accounts, they're in the description below. Otherwise, take it easy, and I'll speak to you next week.